Fuck, I'm gonna have to definitely cut this fucking thing. Anyway, hello everybody. Judge's free time here. Got my space back, as you can tell. You probably guessed that from the last video. Anyway, this video is about vaping. So, what do I prefer? An RDA or a tank? Well, to be honest, I haven't been vaping on many RDA tank devices, so I can't really say that much from experience. But I do know from this what I prefer. Now, over time, I've gotten used to this thing, this RDA, but it's not the best RDA to start on. Go for the dead rabbit, you're probably better off. Anyway, so what do I prefer? Good old-fashioned tanks, like the Baby Beast, or maybe even better ones by now. This is an older tank, I know, but I like this tank, it's not too bad. Until they stop doing the coils, I won't stop using this for a while. Or an RDA. Well, me personally, it's down to your own preference. Me personally, I think the RDA does give you flavour. It does save you money, because all you have to do is buy the coils once, put them on, tighten them up, and then you get your own cotton. It could be cotton bacon, it could be any old cotton, and then, you know, do it to your own choosing to your cotton on your RDA, and off you go. Does it save you money compared to a tank? Hell yeah. For a 5-pack of these tanks, it would cost about a tenner. But cotton bacon, I think, was 5 to 10 quid for 2 bags of cotton bacon. And I'm still on my first bag. Let me just show you that. This is cotton bacon. So it does save you some money, because, believe it or not, I'm still on my first bag of cotton bacon. That's probably because I haven't used it as often, but still, this has lasted for quite a few refills. And, you know, I've wasted most of this as well, and this stuff has really lasted. And against your crappy or good juice, which is, this is not the best juice in the world, but it works pretty well. It vapes pretty well. Like that. So it does vape pretty well, the tanks that are RDAs. But there is something I like about tanks compared to the RDA. With an RDA, you've constantly got to drip it, you've constantly got to keep the things moist, otherwise that's it, say goodbye to your mouth and your cotton, because it would either catch fire or just completely dry up and you would have to re-wick again. But the thing is, it's so cheap it wouldn't really matter. So I do prefer the RDA method for cheapness. But there is one thing I like about the good old-fashioned tank, and that is the fact that you can easily just take the coil out, clean out the tank, put a new one in, and off you go. But with the RDA, it's a bit more of a fiddle, because you've got to take the cotton out, you've got to like get a kit to take the cotton out, and then you've got to use a cotton bud, and then you've got to, like, what I do is I use a cotton bud and I use a bit of cotton bacon, thread it back through the coil, get rid of the actual cotton out, throw it away, put a new cotton in, and off I go. Because I find that I can't use anything else for my the coils, because they're too small. So I thought, well, that's the only way I can do it, use the own cotton bacon to get rid of the crap that's in it before, if I'm changing liquids or if I'm going to the same liquid. But again, with a tank, it's pretty simple. You just put in the coil, just screw it on, and then just, you know, flick it open or whatever, with whatever tank you've got, put in your juice, and you can vape for a very long time without worrying about the good old cotton. That's one thing I do like about the good old tanks. To me, I think an RDA is more for a demo, if you know what I mean, like demoing a liquid, than it is, you know, to enjoy it all the time, because you're not constantly enjoying it, because you're vaping it and then you're re-dripping after about maybe 6 pulls, depending on what you've got. Yeah, because cotton bacon apparently has the best wicking, apparently, but I don't know if anyone's any better these days, but I don't care, to be honest. I'm sticking to the cotton bacon for a while. But with a smock, you just fill it up and vape away. You don't have to do much filling compared to the RDA. But RDAs, I think, are very cheap to work with. You get your coils, which are dead cheap as well. You can find a load of them, whatever resistance you want. But there is a problem with tanks, and that is you don't have much resistance choice for the coils. You get only like a couple if the manufacturer will allow you to have it. But with this, you can put as many resistance as you want on these. I believe you can. And then off you go. But to be honest, I've stuck to the default 0.16 or 14 or wherever these things are resisting at. To be honest, resistance is nothing to me. I just like to vape it. Simple as. The resistance really hasn't made no difference that much. The wattage, I think, makes more difference to me. But that's just my preference. I could be completely wrong here. But, so, the good thing about the tank is, it's very easy, but it's got a price tag attached to it that's quite heavy. Meanwhile this, you know, you won't be wicking as much, sorry, you won't be changing your cotton as much. You'll probably be doing it every maybe 2 weeks, depending, you know, because apparently cotton bacon's got the best ratio when it comes to saving cotton or something. So yeah, this does win hands down for being cheap, but there is some problems and caveats with this, and that is the fact that even though it's cheap to do, even though it's, you know, it's not easy to do. You've got to really learn how to do it. But with the tank, there's not much trial and error. You just screw the actual coil on and off you go. With flavour, with an RDA, you will find out that there's a lot more flavour with an RDA, so they do win with the flavouring as well. The flavour with the RDA compared to the tank are noticeably different to each other. This one's a bit more fainter than this one. But yet again, there is new ones on the market now, new tanks on the market that are tons better than they used to be. So they are catching up to the RDA standards. I'm not going to talk about squonk tanks, because squonk is a little bit stupid, I find. Now listen carefully why. Because squonk tanks are nearly enough the same as a normal tank, basically. You just squeeze it and then it will just puff up the RDA full of liquid. That's just laziness over the RDA. I find the RDA a little bit more easier because, you know, you can just pop the lid off, do it yourself, and I don't find it easier, but you know what I mean, I find it much more better, because I thought the whole point of going to an RDA was to stay away from, you know, tanks, because they don't always last, tanks. You know, they get all sorts of shit build up in them sometimes, and it makes it taste like shit after a while with the nicotine and such. So I never want to get a squonk. They look like shit. I don't see the point. You might as well just stick to a fucking tank than a squonk, in my opinion. I know it's like an RDA, but with it's just stupid, really. I mean, they even made tanks with an RDA attached to it, which makes it pointless. You know what I mean? There's too many inventions. Just stick to one or the other, because, you know, they're pretty good on their own. The great thing about an RDA is the flavour. That's what I found. But the wicking is a bit of a pain in the balls. But luckily with cotton bacon you don't have to do much of it. But meanwhile with the tank, you can just easily fill it up, go to work, come back, and it's already ready for you to vape on when you go home, whatever. With this one you've got to, you know, wick it and stuff like that, and sometimes it can get scary if you do this. It looks cool, but scary, because it could spit in your face, which it nearly did to me. So yeah, RDAs are pretty cool. I like RDAs. But RDAs are a little bit more harder for beginners. I would recommend you to get yourself a dead rabbit, because that looks like it's better quality than this thing. I don't know why. I mean, this one is supposed to be good, but I don't like the idea how it's right near the fucking coils. A bit silly how the mouthpiece is so close to it. I don't know why. Maybe it's for flavour. I haven't got a fucking clue. But to be honest, this RDA is not the best. But what can you do? I'm not going to say either I would like to go home with, but tanks are quite simple. Meanwhile, RDAs are a bit of a pain if you don't get it right. If you don't have the right amount of cotton, it easily dries up or something like that, or if it's too thick it dries up too much. I don't know which way around it is, but yeah, it's hands down this is a cheaper method, because all you have to do is get the coils in, get your cotton bacon or whatever you use, and drip it, and off you go. Meanwhile, with the tank, you're spending a little bit more money on the tank, and you're spending a little bit more money on the cotton coils. I don't know why they're so expensive, because I believe for the same thing for the RDA, it's not the same price, I don't believe, but I could be wrong too. So, what is your preferred method? RDA or tank? I'm not going with squonk. Fuck squonk. It looks stupid. Why would you want to have a cheap looking fucking device where you go with it? I mean, the whole point of the RDA is that you do it yourself, not the other way around. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Don't want any angry comments of that shit. I'm just saying that squonk looks a bit ridiculous, that's all. It's just my opinion at the end of the day, and I could be completely wrong. But the tank, I think, wins for easiness. Meanwhile, that's not easy. But this wins for cheap, because after you've got your coils in, all you have to do next is just keep wicking it with whatever you've bought, and it would last for quite a time. But it's like rolling your own cigarettes. It's cheaper, but the caveat is you've got to do it yourself. That's the problem with having it cheaper. But over time, you know, it comes to an advantage, because if you fuck up, it was your fault, and there you go. You learn from your own trial and error. Anyway, I've spoken way too long. Anyway, what do you prefer? Cheers.